Hello, my name is Constantine. I'm a Nim developer at IFT, which you may have heard of. Maybe you haven't, but you probably heard about Status. This is another name for IFT. Now, this talk is a bit unusual. It's not about any technology. It's not about a package. It's a very personal, very subjective, very intimate, and emotional overview of the things that I really like about Nim. And I felt that I had to do a talk like that for several reasons. First off, it's just been over a decade already that I've been using Nim. First as a hobby, and now I'm happy enough to be employed to do Nim programming. And also, I'm seeing all like the same things being raised online whenever name is mentioned. So I really wanted to address that. So without further ado, let's jump into the slides. So the talk is called Why a Nim, and it's a kind of sort of love letter to the language and to the community and to the authors of this technology. Now, I'm saying that we've all been there, but I'm not sure if you have been there, but I definitely have been there. And by there, I mean when you say either online in the comment section on Hacker News, or when you're just talking to someone and you just mention NIM and you just, give a quick overview of the language, the same thing happens again and again. And I'm seeing the same questions being asked. And it's kind of annoying. So I really wanted to address those questions. And while I do that, I'm going to highlight that not only is NIM successfully, like it has something to successfully counter those claims, it's actually a much better language than just a one that passes through that can counter these concerns. So the questions that you probably get asked are, what is NIM at all? Which is fine. I mean, it's an okay question. But then people start questioning, like, why would you use NIM? There's Go, or Rust, or Zig, or Python, or whatever, Odin. There are a plethora of languages out there, and some of them claim to be very similar to what NIM claims to be. So specifically Rust, Zig, and Go. Then people start challenging the NIM as a product. Okay, like what are successful projects built with NIM? Like Rust has Firefox and a lot of stuff. Like Go has, I guess, something else. Zig used to have Bun, but now it's written in Rust, so I'm not sure if there's any famous project written in Zig. And then you mentioned there's like style insensitivity, which people always confuse with case insensitivity. And it's a universally hated feature. Like people would just straight out tell me that it's a bug. Of course, there is always this concern that the ecosystem is not existent. It's a niche language, doesn't have any packages ready to use. Also, that name doesn't have a foundation or any corporate money behind it, and therefore it's doomed to kind of die out. And again, these are things that I hear all the time. And I want to give my answers. So this is important to know that this is something that is subjectively mine. You can disagree with that, and it's okay. I mean, I'm just showing my perspective. It's a perspective of someone who's been tinkering with NIM since around 2015, I think. And now I've gone from, as I mentioned, I've gone from the hobby developer to an employed programmer, which is I'm really happy about, honestly. And I'm a person like I'm someone I'm giving a perspective of someone who's always felt enormous pleasure and fun working with NIM. So I'm very much biased. This is my talk, so I'm gonna I'm going to share all my biases and all my opinions about that. So I want to try and explain why it's been so much fun to me, and I really hope I hope that this video uh, will become something that people would share a link to whenever the same questions arise. So this is a perspective of someone who's in love. Now, let's start at the beginning. When you kind of get yourself familiarized with a new language, um, the first impression is what matters. And I remember, like back in the day, back at school, I used to study Pascal, like a lot of kids, when they study programming, they use Pascal as the language of choice for students. So yeah, as other children, I used to code in Pascal, and I do remember this feeling when I first discovered Python. So Python felt like a breath of fresh air after Pascal. However, Nim felt like a breath of fresh air after Python. Why is that? I mean, I remember the emotions that I felt when I programmed like my first Hello World with Nim. Uh, the first reason is because Nim reads very naturally. I think the important thing is that you don't really have to know Nim to read it. This is a very powerful feature. I mean, your manager can probably read your code and understand what's happening there without you having to explain it. And that's a very underestimated feature, I think. And I believe that this is partially why AIs are so good with NIM. It's like NIM does not have nearly as much training data as Python or JS or even Rust or Zig or whatever. Well, Zig probably doesn't have a lot of data as well, but NIM has like relatively little data online. However, I noticed that, and I know that ARAC uses AI for NIM work, and I know a lot of people who use AI for NIM programming. And AIs are very good at NIM, and I think that's specifically because it's basically pseudocode for an AI. They're really good at reading and understanding text, so this is just like text to them. NIM does not have any cryptic symbols or rituals, so it doesn't have things that are just whistle symbols, whistle words. You don't have like opening weird hashtag here, and you have to put like an exclamation mark there, which you just have to know the meaning of. So, and hello world is the first thing that a programmer starts with, and it must be easy. The purpose of hello world is to be easy. That's the idea. You have to greet the world within a seconds. And surprisingly, only like Nim and Python, basically two languages where hello world is really simple. I don't know, maybe JS as well, but you can't really like set up JS easily in your terminal and just run it because you have to know about Node.js and stuff like that. So let's compare it. In Nim, hello world is echo hello world, and it reads very naturally. You don't have to know anything. I mean, you have to know what the quotation mark is, but you probably know what a quotation mark is. Let's compare it to Rust. In Rust, it's not that much more complicated. I mean, it's just 3 lines of code, but immediately, why is print line with an exclamation mark? What does it mean? Maybe does it mean print it loudly or what? So immediately you have to know that there is an exclamation mark and it means something, probably, because the function called main, that's just a function, okay? And that function does not have an exclamation mark. But println does have it. I mean, you have to know that immediately. Now let's examine the Zig. These are the examples that I've taken from their official documentation. So the Zig example, you have to know that there is like an add symbol, add import. Why not just import? Okay. You have to know why some things are capitalized and some are not. You can see that the pub fn main init param is written with it starts with a with a small letter or a lowercase letter I, but is assigned to a capitalized in it. So what's happening here? Again, why the exclamation mark in front of void? Does it mean like super void? And what's happening next? That looks very cryptic because it's just a long chain of supposedly these are calls, I think, but that's not obvious at all. I mean, why are we calling init.io as a first argument to start streaming all? Is there a start streaming without all? Can we stream not all? There's a lot of questions that you have to find the answer for just in the first few seconds when you meet this new language. And again, let's finish with Go. That looks pretty readable, but there's a package main. Can I avoid package? Can I not have a package? Can I just print hello world? I don't know. I mean, you have to look it up in the documentation. Println is a function which is capitalized, so it starts with a capital P. But our main function is not capitalized, it's with a lowercase m. Why is that? Are all functions, capitalized? Are all public functions capitalized? Is main a public function? Can I make it a public function? There's a lot of questions out there. So my point here is that Nim is one of very few languages that does not make you learn magic, within the first minutes of your if you're learning the language. So the second reason why I think Nim is really outstanding, and I mean it's way above expectations compared to other languages, is that it's really easy to start with. Surprisingly, I mean, you would expect that like Rust and Go and Zig would be very easy to start with because, I mean, especially Rust and Go, because they're bigger languages with bigger communities. But this is not the case at all. I mean, to start using Nim, all you have to do is like run a single line, like a one-liner on the Nimble site, and then you just install it. And you just Nimble install Nim, and if you need your developer environment, you just add NimLang server and nph. That's it. I mean, it's a single command. Nimble install -g, nim, NimLang server, nph. That's it. Now to run your hello world, you just run the same command. Like, the language is called Nim. Of course, the executable is called Nim. So you just run it. Nim r, which means run hello.nim. Everything is obvious about it. Now compare it to Rust. I mean, it's been not too long ago that I tried installing Rust locally because I wanted to compile mdbook for documentation. It was a nightmare, I'm telling you. You can't just install Rust. You can't, scoop install Rust on Windows. You have to install the installer first, like the installer called Rust up. And then you can't just Rust up install Rust. It doesn't work this way because you have to know that there are tool chains. Like Rust has tool chains. And you better learn your tool chains because they don't work anywhere. Like I tried installing it on Windows, and the first choice that I picked was the wrong one. I mean, this tool chain does not work on Windows. I wanted to pick something like GCC tool chain. And it doesn't work despite me having GCC installed on Windows. And if you pick a Windows tool chain like MSVC, you have to actually go to the Microsoft website and download Visual Studio and install several gigabytes of dependencies just for that tool chain to work. And even after you pass all through that, you have your 10 gigabytes of data downloaded from the internet, it's not really obvious how to compile a hello.rs file because it's not Rust. I mean, Rust doesn't do that. Rust C does that. It's a bit simpler with Zig. I mean, you can install with a single line like Nim, but immediately you have to know that Zig is not enough because you have multiple programs that are installed separately. You have Zig, ZVM, ZigUp, and ZLS, which I'm not sure are all installable with the package manager like we have it for Nim. So as far as I know, you have to install them separately. And Go, I mean, it's very easy to install Go on Windows. It's just really weird because you just download a desktop application and you launch it, and it's in your start menu. This is so unusual. I mean, you would expect it to work in your terminal, but it probably won't. And you have to find some other way to install in your terminal. The third reason why I think the name is outstanding, why I love it so much, is what I call it what shouldn't matter doesn't matter. And this is specifically like an argument about style insensitivity because I know a lot of people hate it. People just say that it breaks your code and it makes your code unmaintainable. But I think it's a brilliant feature, actually. Why do I think that? Because does it really matter how you type like send HTTP request? I mean, should it matter? Is a better question. I think it shouldn't matter at all. I mean, when I'm like typing my code, I don't want to pause and remember how this specific uh, function is supposed to be named. I mean, of course, I want to get the meaningful details right, so I don't want to, skip a letter or something like that. But do we really want to know if HTTP is all capitalized or not? I mean, it's a question. I mean, of course, I could, open my browser and go to documentation and check it there, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that. It doesn't matter. And this is the important thing. I don't think that things like that should matter during development. And Nim is like one of the few languages that allows me not to care about things that shouldn't matter. So it really minimizes distraction. But of course, if something happens that is meaningful, like things cannot compile, then NIM is very strict about that, which I really like about it. So it's this golden balance that it is forgiving on the things that shouldn't matter. Like if you don't want to use your parentheses, just don't. It doesn't matter. But if you want to call the wrong function, well, this is a problem. You're going to get the wrong results. You don't do that. The common concerns about that are how's your text search going to work if everything is written differently? From my practice, this was never an issue. You just search case insensitively, and that's it. It's very rarely that you have actual case like mixing in within one project. And the second concern, of course, is what if someone calls a function weirdly, like partially with snake case and partially with a camel case, and they just go mad with naming. Well, again, from a practical point of view, this never happens. Nobody does that. If somebody does that, it's basically sabotage. I mean, that's just deliberately breaking the code, and you can do that in any language. Honestly, I mean, you can break Python code by importing some non-existent module, and it won't even complain until it crashes at runtime. And in C, what's stopping you from defining true false and just swapping out the values? I mean, of course you can do that. Just don't do that. The fourth reason is Nim is actually, I guess it's the only language, or maybe not the only, but he's a member of a very small club of languages that are truly universal. And this is a very like a huge claim. That Nim's motto is very ambitious. It claims to be the only language you'll ever need. So I'm not sure it is the language that like the only language that should exist, but it definitely can be the only language you ever need to learn. Again, this is a huge claim, but it turns out it's completely justified. I mean, from my experience, NIM has proven to be very successful in cross-platform development, and it's actually used across many domains. I mean, it's used to write kernels and for embedded code. I mean, for web app development, for servers and front end and games and mobile apps and utility scripts. And I honestly do not know any other language that can, that has a portfolio like that. Maybe Python, but I've never heard about kernels written in Python. But apart from that, probably Python. Now, you may ask, isn't it pretentious, like the claim that you're the language. And I think it is not pretentious only in one case, if you really mean it, if it's really like that. And I like the example of Muhammad Ali that, I mean, he used to brag a lot. I mean, he had a very sharp tongue, and he would claim himself like the GOAT all the time. And the only reason we're not mad at him, and he's truly considered a great like sportsman and not a great talker, is because he really was the greatest. I mean, he proved that. He claimed that, and then he did it. And to me, Nim is one of those like languages that claims to be the one, but it really is the one. I mean, we have plenty of examples that prove that. So yeah, it is pretentious, but it's entirely justified. One specific question with this regard is why bother using Nim for front end? We have like TypeScript and JavaScript. And this is very opinionated, but honestly, it's just much more pleasurable to use Nim. Just Nim that compiles to JavaScript instead of vanilla JavaScript. And that reminds me of this ancient talk, the death and like the life and death of JavaScript, stuff like that, which kind of predicts that JavaScript is doomed to become a language that other languages compile to instead of being written manually. So, I mean, if you've tried front end development with Nim, you would know what I mean. It's really like it's a lot of fun. It works really well, and you have your types and you have your all the development tools working, and you don't have to switch context that much. And it's just a lot less surprising than with vanilla JavaScript. The fifth reason for loving Nim is that it's very pragmatic. And I mean, not the language, I mean the management, so-called like Iraq and the core team and people who are actually responsible for strategic decision making with Nim. I really like that Nim is a very pragmatic project. Like backward compatibility is not, I mean, it's taken very seriously. And in my 10-year long experience with Nim, I can like confirm it that it is not very often that your code breaks with a Nim update. This is awesome. This is fantastic. I mean, I do remember when Python 3 was released, it was a disaster. People were like mad, and justifiably so. I mean, I'm totally with them. And when I'm saying pragmatic, I also mean that Nim doesn't have an ideology. It doesn't have a big, beautiful idea that we all have to, sacrifice convenience and, performance to. That, maybe that's like I know, it's very opinionated, but to me that matters. I really like it that AREC does not have a religion that is embedded within the language. It's just like the best language in the world. That's it. That's the ideology. I'm all for it. It's a good ideology. And other languages don't have that. Like Rust's ideology is safety, and everything is sacrificed for the sake of safety. And a lot of people don't like it. Like Go's ideology is minimalism, which brings us to ridiculously short identifiers like single letter, two-letter identifiers, and those huge indentations that it's all aimed at making this language as minimalist as possible. But why? Why does it matter? If it's hurting usability, then there's no point in that, really. So I don't think that having a strong ideology is like benefiting anybody. And the final reason is the community. I really like the Nim community. And by community, I mean the people on the forum, on Discord, on this NimConf. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for organizing it. But also, I mean, like the ecosystem, the packages that are published. Let's first talk about the community. From my experience, the Nim community is a very special place. I mean, the forum is like it has very little drama, and it's very open. It's very diverse, but it's diverse not in the sense that we kind of forcefully bring in various people, like I don't know, people that come from all walks of life and can bring their own perspective. No, it's not like that. It's that these are all people interested in Nim, but they have very diverse backgrounds. and they have very diverse cultural backgrounds. But at the same time, this is not the defining feature. I mean, the defining feature is that we all are interested in them, and the community is, to me, is small enough to be visible. Like you can make a difference. You can post like a package, and everybody will see it. But it's large enough for it to be self-sustaining. Like it's not going to die out anytime soon. We have a lot of people there. Actually, some of them are active, like posters. Some of them are active readers, but we do have enough people for this community to strive, and it really makes me happy. Also, I have to notice that it seems like Nim attracts smart people. Seems to, and there's enormous amount of knowledge that you can find on the forum and on Discord. Just have to ask questions, and a lot of experience and highly qualified people will answer it. The ecosystem actually is not as small as you think. I mean, people say that it's niche language, and I don't have the package that I want to use ready for me to use. But JavaScript has a huge like ecosystem, has many packages, and we're not seeing that it's benefiting from it really. I mean, we all remember the left pad drama. We don't want that in Nim actually, and I think that this argument is especially valid now when we have AIs to generate code. And if you really wanted to have a ready to use and maintained bindings in the past, you don't have to anymore because you can just generate them really easily. Because generating bindings is probably one of the easiest things in programming because you're just mapping things from a spec, and AIs are remarkably good at reading the spec and just generating the code. So that's it for me. Thanks for your attention. That was a bit chaotic, but it was honest. And these are my opinions, and I hope that someone will find them useful. Feel free to reach out to me on Discord, on the NIM forum, on GitHub, anywhere actually. Thank you.